Hello, 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 and welcome to this month's amazing lineup on the Her Version Impact panel. Her Version just hit its 1 year mark and continues to grow at rapid rates. We just hit our 100th guest speaker last week. We have over 450 YouTube videos, over 90 audio podcasts, over 400 members in our Facebook group. Be sure to join us and drum roll. We just launched our first and definitely not our last podcast marathon. For the first time ever in history, we have had 12 hours straight of females only speaking on our platform. We promise to continue to grow and expand and provide you with beneficial information to help you in your everyday life. I am thrilled to have a female panel filled this month as we speak about depression and anxiety, something so many women and men are dealing with, especially right now. The conversation around this topic will be broad and will guarantee to educate you on so many areas of your life. Join us as we dive deep into our personal journeys and what we have created for ourselves in order to better our lives. There will be live Q&A for those of you that are already jumping on live for the next 2 hours. So get your questions in the comments. For those of you that don't know me, I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. The question that I have that is coming up for me, and now I forgot my question. Oh, my question is, this is kind of like what Emily said, where I don't know how to word this. So I've never been on medication. I didn't know I had anxiety and depression, even though I'm like falling to the ground, bawling my eyes out for hours at a time, literally on the ground. I'm not exaggerating. I'm literally on the floor in my house with my boyfriend or fiance at the time screaming at me, bawling, shaking, and like wanting to drive my car off bridges on a consistent basis, like consistently for years. I think to myself, all I have to do is just twist my wheel just this way, just a little bit, and my car will just fly off the bridge. And then everything, these are like consistent things that were happening. So two people like me who are sitting right now in their home, who are feeling feelings that they're not, I don't know, is that just being naive? I don't know, but they're not connecting. I did not connect what I was doing, which is so obvious now, to being anxious or having depression. What is a person supposed to do? They're listening. We have an audience. They're resonating with what we're saying. They're like, oh my gosh, this is me, whatever they're thinking. What are they supposed to do first step? Are they supposed to pray? Are they supposed to go to the doctor right now? You know, what should they be telling their, are they, you know, a lot of you guys are saying these medications are addictive. Why would I want to go on a medication? And that sounds super scary to me. Emily's going more of a naturalistic way. And so is Marie right now. So what would you guys, ladies, say should be the first, second step into opening up this discovery right now? Marie?
I would start out with maybe even some YouTube videos. Like if you're not necessarily even thinking about, like, you don't want to go to a doctor, or you don't have the money, or you don't have the insurance or whatever, like definitely go to YouTube. I mean, there are so many resources on YouTube that are free to you. Whether it's natural, just really think about it to yourself, like what is drawing to you. Like, what is it that makes you excited, and not upset or depressed? And then just follow your heart that way. Um, Even just to listen to some Hertz music during the day, just to, calm yourself a little bit so that you can think about where it is that you need to go next. That would just be my suggestion.
Thanks. Anybody else? Torie?
I'd say diet. Diet is such a huge one, like cutting out sugar and gluten, dairy, if you can swing it. A lot of people just have that, like, can't cut out my cheese. But that is, I'm on a very strict diet just because I have lupus. And so I have to be very careful. And so it's actually grain free. And that was a really huge one for me. But it's like now, since I've been in remission for so long, I'm coming up on 3 years. I can add things back into my diet. My doctors are like still, like dumbfounded that I'm still on this thing because they're just like, you're in remission. You can do whatever you want now. But I've started adding things back. So, every now and then I'll have some rice or I'll have some corn chips if I'm like out at a Mexican restaurant or something, and I can feel my mood dip. And so I just feel like that is a really great place to start, just to kind of pay attention to what you're eating. Don't make any changes yet, but like pay attention to if I have this cookie the next day, I'm kind of in a worse mood or something like that, then you can kind of pinpoint those things and then just play around with taking those out and see what happens.
Love that. Emily?
So I think for anyone who's listening right now and hearing what we are all sharing and feeling like maybe you identify with something, my first suggestion would be don't get caught in a comparison trap, which has already been kind of brought up, that again, you don't have to be at the very end of your rope in order to start to look for ways to care for yourself. And you don't have to be as bad as someone else in order to invest in different ways to care for yourself. And I also would say, hopefully this conversation and conversations that are happening more candidly, especially women talking about, and just anyone talking about anxiety and depression, I think our first reaction in our brain is shame that we haven't identified it previously or that there's something wrong with us. And then we get caught in a shame spiral and we're less likely to seek care for ourselves when we are in that shame spiral. So I also want to remind anyone who is here watching live, the replay, years later, listening to this, there is no shame in needing to take care of your health. And, you hear it all the time, like people take care of their health and wellness with fitness and food all the time. And taking care of your mental health is equally as important. I'm very passionate about talking about the 7 dimensions of wellness, that you cannot have a fully aligned wellness if you are not also taking care of your mental health alongside the other aspects of what wellness is all about. The wellness wheel is very expansive. It's way more than just food and fitness, right? So, and I know for me, for a long time, food and fitness worked, and then it didn't. And then it wasn't enough. So if you're also someone who has gone more of like the non-medication, more like movement fitness route, and that has worked, but maybe it doesn't work anymore. For me, I got to the place where literally every morning I felt like there was an elephant on my chest, just in the bathroom, trying to get ready. I couldn't catch a breath. And I thought, holy shit, is this like, why isn't it working anymore? Why isn't the way I eat and the way I take care of myself with movement working anymore? So if that's you as well, there is no shame in looking to if there is a medication that might work for you, if there is a therapist that might be a good fit for you. If you have done therapy and talk therapy isn't the right therapy, look at EMDR, right? There's so many tools that are out there. And I'll just, one more little asterisk there. Not everyone has access to those tools. right? Not everyone has access to healthcare. Not everyone has the money to pay for medication. So I think we also, as a society, like, right, like how do we also have the conversation about, because Torie mentioned, right, if you're working with people that are experiencing homelessness specifically, we know that a lot of times there's mental health that aligns with that struggle with homelessness. And we see that all the time as well in society, where people can't afford medication. They can't afford therapy because we haven't prioritized mental health in a way that says we care about your mental capacity, and here now our healthcare will take care of it for you. So I feel like I have many answers to this question, but I hope that whoever's listening knows there's no need to compare. There's no shame. Find the things that you need to do to take care of yourself, and it will take time. It will absolutely take time, and you have to be patient with yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. Patience is key for sure. And last comment will be Elizabeth, and then Renee will be up next.
I wanted to piggyback on a few things. Yeah, absolutely. Don't judge the emotion. Emotion's data. And that can be, I mean, just relieving yourself from like either the guilt or shame of experiencing what you're experiencing can be the thing that allows you to move forward and seek treatment. And as far as talk therapy goes, I would recommend interviewing a handful. It's kind of like dating, unfortunately. Do not judge the experience of talk therapy by simply one appointment with one therapist, because it's as many different people, therapists, as there are as how many different experiences you can have. I say that as someone who has had several different therapists over the course of 25 years. So some of them were great and some of them were not so great. And also, kind of to circle back to something that Renee had mentioned about working with a coach, I think maybe we work in cycles. Everything is cyclical. There's this saying, new level, new devil. When you work through something, you can kind of like up level to like the next floor in the apartment building, so to speak. And then like that same thing will show up in a different way. It'll rear its ugly head and it'll look different. And then you'll unpack it. And it's like, God, I thought I freaking dealt with that thing. Like, it's so there's a cycle of like addressing the past and then preparing for the future, and addressing the past and preparing for the future. And it's always like peeling back these layers of an onion. So yeah, that's sort of my answer to that question.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone who commented. And I do want to note also that my situation there was situational. So it wasn't after I exited that relationship, all of those feelings literally disappeared almost overnight. And it was an absolute relief and lightness that I felt as I walked from one home into another home, which was my home. It was a total change of pace. So, for those of you who are, dealing with stuff like this, it might be a good idea to maybe look around and see, work, relationships, environments that you are in that could be causing you some sort of feelings or struggles mentally or emotionally, and to possibly take steps. I had to make a plan, to escape. And it took a very long time. But the moment I started making a plan to leave my abuser, it lightened up. The moment I started creating a plan, collecting money, writing down, steps on how I'm going to do this, it became a little lighter. So I am going to hand the mic off to Miss Renee to say hello and ask a question.